We are back. It's been a minute since I did like a metagame analysis, and that's because I've been lazy. I'm not even gonna lie. But yeah, I've also just kind of been like kind of coasting with content recently. But I'm a little more locked in today. I wanna talk about the metagame and where it's at, and some of the interesting Pokemon that we saw at Louisville Regionals. So, if you guys enjoy this standpoint in time, go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications. GamerSupps ad here. This channel is partnered with GamerSupps. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order GamerSupps through my link in the description down below or with code Moxie boosted at checkout for 10% off. GamerSupps is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18 plus viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. Let's get into it. So yeah, I mean that was a really quick intro. Like within seconds we had a GamerSupps ad. My apologies. But so what recently happened is we had the Louisville Regional Championships, and yeah, I mean this was a pretty interesting regional overall. I think that going into the regional, the mons to watch were certainly going to be Sneasler balanced teams, with like the Primarina, Rillaboom, Sneasler, and like Dragapult. But on top of that, one of the biggest cores that I think people had their eyes on was Garchomp Dragonite with Alolan Ninetales and some other fourth Pokemon. We know about the teams that were strong going into Baltimore, such as Archaludon Rain and other just bouncy sort of archetypes. Psyspam, that sort of thing, Dondozo. But it feels like we've hit the point in the format where we have like sort of max team diversity, which a lot of people who aren't familiar with the game will take a look at this top cut and go, oh, I see like Sneasler in like 10 of these teams. I see so many Garchomp. I see so many this and that. But where this format's strength lies is in the niche picks that you choose to patch up a matchup that you wouldn't have answers to otherwise. And that's sort of like where the changes in the teams are most apparent and where we see sort of the most interesting tech. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the overall results of this format, or of this tournament. We can actually just take a look at Pokemon usage. I'm on Lab Mouse, by the way. I was going to use like the Louisville page. I'm like, no, we have technology. The Louisville page, it doesn't have like a ton of like super in-depth info. We have like all the pace and stuff, and we have placements, but this allows us to look at the numbers. So, number one Pokemon in the format at the moment in terms of usage is Sneasler. It was on 268 teams out of 753. It had a 52% win rate, and it is Sneasler. Top placement, it won the entire thing, obviously. But yeah, let me actually go ahead and open up Pokemon Showdown, because I always feel like I have to like talk about the Pokemon and like bring up its stats and stuff to explain why it is the way it is. But Sneasler is a Pokemon that the people aren't exactly split on. I think a lot of people use it because it is strong, but they acknowledge, yeah, this mon isn't too healthy. Yeah, there's two sets that it runs at the moment. There's like Unburdened Sash with, Unburdened Sash or Unburdened Grassy Seed, Psychic Seed, whatever, to get like a little bit of a speed boost. You go ahead and you run like Protect, Throat Chop, Close Combat, and the most broken move in the game, Dire Claw. I mean, Surging Strikes and Wicked Blow used to be broken. Now it's Dire Claw. Dire Claw, if you don't know how it works, it's a 50% chance to activate a secondary effect, and that secondary effect can either be sleep, poison, or paralysis, all of which have an equal shot. So 33%, 50%, 50% of 33, I believe the math works out that it's like 16.5% chance to to proc anything. I don't know. I'm tired, but or it's 30% of 50. I don't want to do math. It's not 16. It's like 12. Whatever. I'm not doing math today. Point is, Sneasler is very interesting. There's a few cool interactions with it. A lot of Sneasler are jolly to make sure they don't like lose the speed tie, but because it has kind of low base power move in Dire Claw with 80, sometimes you want to make sure you pick up that KO, so we'll see some adjustments like running Terra Stellar with Jolly, or even just running like an Adamant set. The only issue with the Adamant set is at Adamant you hit 172 speed at max, where that allows for you to get outsped by some pretty important Pokemon that are relevant in the metagame, like Timid Ninetales, which hits 177, and of course because you're hitting 172, anything that's like a Ninetales speed and within like 6 points of that or whatever is going to outspeed you as well. Some notable Pokemon in this speed tier include basically nothing. There's not a lot of notable Pokemon. I think Palmot can outspeed you if it's Jolly, right? 172. Oh, it's a speed tie. But yeah, Palmot's like, is it the only thing in that speed tier that we really have to worry about? Yeah, kinda. I mean, Zoroark's in there. Delphox is not going to outspeed you. Yeah, it's basically, wow, it's really safe to run Adamant. But point is, yeah, Adamant Sneasler is a thing. It gets outrun by Ninetales. It can sort of screw you in some situations because Ninetales is known to run Encore. So if you end up locking into Fake Out or Protect, if you run like Fake Out on your Mon, you can get stuck doing that, and that's kind of like frustrating. But the reason Sneasler is like super strong is because of its ability to deal with other powerful Pokemon in the metagame. Obviously, Dire Claw is very, very safe into Rillaboom. You're either going to hit it for super effective damage, or you have that 50% chance to poison, paralyze, or sleep. Golden Go is the reason any of them run Throat Chop, which the reason they run, which is the reason a lot of them don't run Fake Out. If you didn't have Throat Chop, you would have Fake Out, but Throat Chop's pretty essential to not losing to Golden Go. Primarina, another situation where you can go ahead and click Dire Claw and it's going to be safe. King Gambit, Close Combat. Amoonguss, Dire Claw. You can sleep in Amoonguss. Did you know you could do that? That's stupid. Incineroar is not safe into it because you're going to end up intimidating it and you're just going to get hit by super effective Close Combat anyways. Garchomp is actually pretty decent into Sneasler, and the main reason is because of Rough Skin, you're going to break the sash, but also you're resisting you have a good enough defense stat where Close Combat isn't hitting you for super high damage, especially if you get the Intimidate off. And Dire Claw is resisted, so really you just have to worry about the status activating. If they end up getting a poison on you, that's probably best case situation because you don't want to get paralyzed. Garchomp needs its speed, and it doesn't want to get put to sleep, obviously. It has a good matchup in Arch. It has a matchup in a Dragapult. Definitely Sneasler's like worst matchup out of all these Pokemon is between Golden Go and Dragapult. Ghost types are definitely like much more safe into it since they naturally resist poison and are immune to fighting type moves. But the issue comes with the fact that, you know, if you're in a situation where you need to click a move and it's not going to be strong anyways, you click that Dire Claw and just roll the dice. One of the best ways I've seen to deal with Sneasler is Lumberry Dragonite, which if we actually take a look at Dragonite here, we can see that its highest usage item is the Lumberry in this format. It's at 34% usage with Choice Band close behind, Loaded Dice right behind that, and then like Assault Vest, and then some niche picks like Clear Amulet for the multi-skill sets instead of the Intimidate, or instead of the Inner Focus, and then Covert Cloak and Life were kind of interesting. But yeah, Lumberry, it's basically exclusively run because it allows for it to deal with Sneasler super easily. You're going to be able to go for a Stomping Tantrum into an Extreme Speed to pick up the KO, or you're going to be able to go for Flying Terra Blast, which we can actually see the highest usage Terra type for this Pokemon is flying at 58%. So yeah, I mean, like, Dragonite doesn't exactly struggle into Sneasler, but it definitely doesn't like the fact that there's a 50% chance it's going to have to burn its Lumberry right away. And there's a decent chance that if it's Terra Ghost, it's going to have to dodge a second one of those. So that's not great. So yeah, Dragonite. Basically, like, I know we were talking about Sneasler. We were talking about all these Pokemon in the context of Sneasler. But all these Pokemon obviously have like their inherent strengths in the format, and there's like reasons they're high usage. Rillaboom's Rillaboom. You set up Grassy Train, you have Fake Out. Golden Go's Golden Go. You're just like a busted special attacker who can't be faked out. You can't be status. Primarina is like the best fairy type we have at the moment, which is a shame. We have like no good fairy types. And then we have Double Dragon, Garchomp, Dragonite being able to click Earthquake with no repercussions for the partner Pokemon, and possibly setting up Tailwind. I like running Tailwind on my Dragonite, but Tailwind isn't the highest usage move on this guy. In fact, only like 5 of them in this tournament ran it, and I was one of them. But yeah, overall, like, the top 10 Pokemon in the format are exactly what we expected. I thought we'd see a little bit more Dragonite, but it does make me happy to see that Archaludon is dropping a bit in usage over time, because I don't think it's like the best Pokemon ever, and it's kind of annoying to run. It's kind of annoying to face. Porygon 2 is definitely a Pokemon that I think performed pretty well this time around. If we look at the teams, we can actually take a look at where Porygon 2 placed. It definitely is not like one of the more common Pokemon, but we do see it trending towards being better. It obviously won the entire event. We see another one on Wolfglick's team in top 8, and we see another one at top 16. So within top cut, there were 3 Porygon 2s, which when you take a look at Porygon 2's usage, it is a little bit skewed. But yeah, this tournament was won by Andrew Zhang. We're finally going to get into who actually won the tournament, who was running a fairly standard, not really like standard actually, because usually when you see like Porygon 2 stuff, it's like flanked by like an Ursaluna and other Pokemon like that. And usually when you see like you know, Sneasler, it's flanked by Primarina, Dragapult, Rillaboom. But this team sort of takes the best of both worlds. You have the Citrus Berry, Terra Fairy, Amoonguss with Spore, Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, and Protect. We have Safety Goggles, Incineroar, Flare Blitz, Knockoff, Fake Out, Parting Shot, and we have Porygon 2 with Eviolite. Terra Ground is like the most interesting tech that I've seen. Usually you see Terra flying in these sets, but Terra Ground is quite good. I guess that's decent because you're going to resist the... I guess Ghost to do the same thing too. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the Terra Ground really does for you, but I don't know why I can't think of it. But then it's just flanked by like strong physical attackers. Porygon 2 obviously is very strong next to Incineroar and Amoonguss. Like that trio Pokemon is a tried and true combo in previous formats of VGC. The lack of speed control beyond Trick Room is pretty interesting because typically when you see Pokemon like Golden Go and Garchomp, you usually have them paired up with like a Tailwind user or like at the very least like Icy Wind or Thunder Wave or something to make sure they're outspeeding everything. But this team is very much like a balancey fundamentals team. You just have to make sure you get into position, you're able to click whatever you need to. I think the most interesting tech on this team is that Terraflying Coaching Sneasler, which is able to not only spam that broken Claw move, but also it's able to go ahead and give coaching boost to the Garchomp, allowing for that Garchomp to just be a menace with Clear Amulet and Earthquake and Stomping Tantrum. Sneasler is also a natural check to Rillaboom, which is one of the Pokemon that does super well into Garchomp, since it's able to turn off a lot of the power from Earthquake. I believe it quarters it, and Sneasler being able to click Dire Claw is just saying like, hey man, step off for a second, and then you Dire Claw, it goes to sleep, you win the game, GG. It's one of those mons, you know, but Sneasler's a menace. Beyond that, like the team's basically what you'd expect. It's just very standard, not standard. It's like very balancy. Like it's the sort of bulk you would expect to see. It has go modes. It has whatever. It's a fun team. I think it was very strong. The team that I really want to look at is Joe UX9's team. Joe brought Jumpluff to another regional, and he nearly kept the 100% Jumpluff win rate. I'm pretty sure he hasn't lost a regional with Jumpluff until now. Granted, he brought it to one other regional, unless I'm forgetting one. He probably brought it to one more. He's kind of a Jumpluff guy now. But yeah, this is a really interesting team. Obviously, Eject Pack Torkoal plus Chlorophyll Jumpluff is a combo that we've seen before in Regulation C. And it's very strong. So the reason Eject Pack Torkoal is strong is because into Intimidate leads, you're able to immediately switch out the Torkoal into whatever Pokemon you want to get next to the Tailwind Jumpluff. Jumpluff now is the fastest Pokemon on the field. It clicks Tailwind. You can click Earthquake with Life Orb Garchomp next to it. GG sometimes. But also, you have a opportunity to click Sleep Powder and Overheat. Overheat, of course, lowers your special attack stat, activating the Eject Pack, forcing Torkoal right back out, and then allowing you to reset the sun whenever you need it to hit the field again. Like that's the coolest thing about Torkoal is its ability to switch out and just have pretty strong weather dominance throughout a match. Some more cool tech on this is the Choice Specs Hisuian Typhlosion. Of course, Terrafire Eruption in Sun is one of the strongest moves you could be clicking. Torkoal knows that from experience, but its special attack set's pretty considerably lower. Hisuian Typhlosion's Ghost typing makes it so it's able to not be faked out on lead. The only issue is that it is a little bit slower than regular Typhlosion, I believe, at 95 base speed, where Typhlosion's like 100. So you are sort of required to use the Jumpluff to your advantage there. You click the Tailwind and you go for the Terrafire Eruption. So that's another reason the Torkoal is like really solid, is because it makes it really easy to get Typhlosion on the field turn 1, assuming the opponent wants to lead off with Intimidate, which Garchomp sort of incentivizes that because Garchomp is such a scary lead. Garchomp Dragonite in particular, that lead really makes people want to click Incineroar and lead and like get that Intimidate off. But if you Intimidate the Torkoal, Typhlosion hits the field and it's kind of whatever. Also, if they lead off with Intimidate to check the Dragonite and the Garchomp, you just end up in a situation where Garchomp gets in after the Intimidate happens because of the Eject Pack Torkoal, and you're just back to square one. There isn't really a reason to lead with Intimidate, and it's rough. Also, you're disincentivized in some situations from leading Intimidate because of Terraflying King Gambit, which Terraflying King Gambit next to Garchomp is like a super strong combo, which I heavily endorse this. I think that this team's like really cool. Joe played it super well. I believe we had one of the fastest games in regional history where Joe led off well, I believe. Andrew clicked Trick Room turn 1, didn't like the position he was in, realized he couldn't win, and then just forfeited the game turn 2. That was one of the fastest sets I had ever seen, so that's pretty interesting. Riley Factura, of course, at third place, running this rain team. I mean, like, we've seen this sort of thing before. It's Assault Vest Archaldon with stamina, Vascular Legion rain. It's bouncy rain with like a Sneasler on it. Like that's something that we're pretty well aware of existing. Parker Simmons had one of the more interesting teams in the tournament. We had 2 Sun teams in top 4, and that's not something that I expected. I didn't think Sun was too strong coming into this, but this is really cool. So, do you guys remember those Armor Rouge Psy Spam teams with Hisui and Zoroark? This is even scarier. So it's the Psy Spam team where Armor Rouge has been replaced with Executor. And that's even scarier because Executor is able to click Sleep Powder. In my opinion, as scary as Armor Rouge is, it has I think the exact same special attack set as Executor at like 125. And the fact that Executor is threatening a Sleep Powder on your side of the field makes it even harder to not want to focus your resources into it. And that makes it harder to deal with it because Hisui and Zoroark could just be sitting right there, and then they click Terra Stellar Helping Hand, Specs Hyper Voice, and you lose a Pokemon right off bat. That's terrifying. Like, beyond that, this is basically like the Psy Spam teams that we saw dominating early format, where it's just, you know, you can either lead off with the Zoroark and get like a free game 1, and then like play it very honestly game 2, or do the reverse, play a very honest game 1, get your Trick Room off, try to go for like Psy Spam, sweep with your Ursaluna, and yeah, and then get like the dishonest game 2 with the Hisui and Zoroark. Dishonest isn't like the right word for it, but I like calling it like dishonest because you're literally lying to your opponent. That's a Zoroark. But no, this was a really interesting team. I'm gonna see if I can get the rental for that to showcase it on the channel tomorrow. But yeah, no, this was really cool. I really liked this adaptation on a version of Psy Spam that we have seen before in this format. Like, just having Zoroark and Executor on the same team is so cool. But yeah, that was awesome. Other things we see, we had a Ceruledge in top 8 from Marco Martinez. The Ceruledge is, it's a Ceruledge that we've seen before. I mean, like, beyond that, it's like it's a standard like Balancy team. But like Ceruledge being able to run like Leftovers, Bulk Up, Bitter Blade, that's pretty interesting. I mean, like, Terra Grass with Flash Fire is obviously a combo that we're well aware is strong in Terra metagames. But I'm trying to think of like what it does well into in this format. I guess Ceruledge has a pretty decent matchup into Sneasler, since you sort of wall it. It's a ghost type. It has access to a priority move, probably Bitter Blade into Shadow Sneaks a KO if you get that bulk up off. Beyond that, it's Ceruledge, you know. Other interesting teams that we see, I mean, like, we have Colin Hire with this Dondozo team. Obviously, it's not like standard Dozo. It's running the Leftovers Fissure set, but it's just like balanced with the Dondozo. I guess Dondozo is the answer to opposing Dondozo, since you just ignore their boosts, right? It is unaware, right? Yes, it is. And I think the other standout team that we had in this top cut was Wolfie's Yanmega team, which, it's funny, there was a little bit of controversy over the weekend with a bunch of people having used Wolf's Yanmega team because they like ran into some random on the ladder, saw it was like using Yanmega, got bodied by it, and then like just took it. So there were a few Yanmegas, but Wolf was the only one to top cut, so, you know, deserved if you make the team. So this is really cool. I played this a few times during the day. There were a few other ones. Terra Electric Power Herb Archaldon obviously is always able to get off a super powerful +1 Electroshot with stab on it. But where Yanmega is super interesting is that Yanmega and Porygon 2, the Porygon 2 has like speed investment to the point where it outspeeds Jolly Dragapult under Tailwind. And Yanmega is able to basically protect turn 1, or detect, I guess. And after detecting turn 1, it gets the speed boost, and now it is one of the faster Tailwind users in the metagame. That's really cool. Air Slash and Bug Buzz coming off of its special attack set are fairly strong. It's able to deal with Rillaboom pretty well, which, while Rillaboom doesn't like the matchup into the team, it can be kind of annoying for Ursaluna, so that's really nice. And yeah, beyond that, like, the team's just super honest. It's just a very honest, soft Trick Room team with a Tailwind option. I think Porygon 2 just having speed investment and being able to play either in Trick Room or Tailwind is the scariest thing, because Porygon 2's offensive pressure that it puts out once it gets that download boost and a special attack boost is really crazy. Terraflying Terra Blast at +1 and like Ice Beam covers a lot of things, especially when it's flanked by other Pokemon like Ursaluna, which can deal with the steel types that would wall you otherwise. So Yeah, this is a cool team. I very much enjoyed playing against it, and it did super well in the tournament. I think that we're probably going to see a lot more of this team going around. I think we're particularly going to see the thing that this team's probably going to influence the most isn't even going to be the Yon Mega. I think Yon Mega is going to come and go. What is going to like stay is probably going to be fast Porygon 2 with Trick Room and a Tailwind user next to it. That is something that I think is very difficult for a lot of teams to deal with in this moment. So yeah, beyond that, there are a couple of interesting Pokemon that we can just sort of like, you know, note. Palafin did manage to make it into Top Cut. There was a single Palafin. If we take a look at the team, it is Choice Band Palafin, which is probably the way you want to run it right now. It just has immediate damage with Flip Turn. Terra Water Jet Punch hurts really, really bad. And beyond that, it's just like, you know, Tyranitar balance with Sand. Luke Bauer did pretty good with Trick Room Charizard. Charizard, of course, is running the Choice Scarf item with Solar Power, Terra Fire, Heat Wave, and Choice Historical next to it. You just have immediate damage. It's very easy to outspeed everything. Even like, you know, Trick Room isn't up. You're just very easy to like outspeed everything, take KOs with Terra Fire, Heat Wave with Solar Power, and they have to play like a 50-50. Luke is one of the best Trick Room players that I know. He's one of my locals, and he's very good at what he does. So shout out Luke. Top Cut. I'm really, or no, just outside of Top Cut, but I'm really proud of you. Very, very good run. Other interesting things. The Pledge team is back. Brian Fournier, I think. I don't know how you pronounce it. They actually DM'd me. They sent me the paste for this because they want me to showcase it in the channel, which I will. I will showcase this in the channel. They ran it back, made a few adjustments from Baltimore. They did really good. They almost Top Cut. And yeah, beyond that, there's just a few interesting teams. If you're wondering how I did, I'm down here at 80th. I made day 2. What is it? Day 1, I went 6-2. Day 2, I lost my round 1, won my round 2, lost my round 3. If I won my round 3, I would have top 64'd. But I was just running like, this is an interesting team. I'll showcase it on the channel like the day after tomorrow, I think. But I basically just ran the Agati 6, the Chua Agati 6 with some adjustments. Terraflying Sword Stance Gambit's really nice. I'm Terraflying Specs Wheezing. Specs Wheezing was like a thing this weekend. There were a few of them running around, and I was one of them. I really like Band Chomp next to Specs Wheezing. It's got a few things that you can do. I'll talk about it when I go over my team in a future video. But yeah, that's basically all I want to talk about today. I think that this tournament was really, really informative of where the format is. I think that this is one of the more diverse formats we've had, and it's actually, as much as I hate Sneasler, the better we get at building to deal with Sneasler, the more I enjoy it. And every match that doesn't have a Sneasler in it is a good match. Unfortunately, Sneasler was at what? How much usage again? How much usage? We had 52% usage, or no, 35% usage and 52% win rate in Top Cut. It was looking a little more skewed. You can see that there are 10 Sneasler out of the 16 teams in Top Cut, 7 King Gambit, 5 Garchomp, and yeah. But that's going to be it today. If you guys enjoyed, do me a favor, leave a like to the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.